Hello Internet! Gino, aka That Pinguino, here again with another baby deep look. This time I'm going to be taking a look at Lost Odyssey for the Xbox 360, and in particular I'm going to be looking at the Thousand Years of Dreams short stories that are contained within this game. So, an important thing to note about Lost Odyssey is that it actually has two authors. Hironobu Sakaguchi of Final Fantasy fame, the writer responsible for Final Fantasies 1 through 9, as well as the unfortunate Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, wrote the main storyline of Lost Odyssey, and the Thousand Years of Dreams short stories were written by Kiyoshi Shigematsu, a Japanese short story writer, and they were translated by Jay Rubin, a Harvard professor and Japanese scholar. So, the actual quality and style of writing between the main storyline and the Thousand Years of Dreams is actually pretty wildly different. The main storyline stars Kaim Argonar and a bunch of other immortals in their immortal journey through the world. There's a villain who's not very good. Oh, also, all the immortals have amnesia, because of course they do. And the villain, like an hour into the game, you know who it is, but of course it takes the heroes like 20 hours to figure out what you know almost immediately. The main issue in this game is that magic is returning to the world, and magic is basically interchangeable with science. But despite kind of the magical renaissance premise and all of that stuff, there is a real opportunity that's afforded by having all of these characters with thousand-year memories slowly regaining their memories and slowly remembering what happened to them over the course of their lives. And that premise is really exploited in the Thousand Years of Dreams short stories. Honestly, it's kind of a shame that it isn't exploited more in the main storyline. It is definitely explored, but it's explored so much deeper and so much more deftly in the Thousand Years of Dreams. And the way the Thousand Years of Dreams actually ties into the game is if you talk to, well, sometimes you talk to people, sometimes you experience certain events that will trigger a memory. Like talking to that innkeep caused Kaim to recall a memory locked deep within his heart. And once this happens, you're treated to a short story. It kind of plays out like a very, very fancy PowerPoint presentation. A dream has been revealed. I'm going to go ahead and dare to dream. And each of these dreams will be related to whatever stimulus caused Kaim to start to remember. The dreams are told plain text, no narration or anything. But it has this each one has this dreamy silhouette around the outside, different background images that will cycle depending on what's happening. The text itself will actually animate and emphasize important moments, and the music in the background will accent everything very nicely. And so these short stories deal with a whole wide variety of things that over a 1,000-year lifespan the main characters could have dealt with. For example, this story, Hannah's Departure, deals with Kaim outliving a small child and kind of contrasting her frailty, dying young, with Kaim's immortality and inability to die, and kind of explains how someone so old could somehow become attached to a small, frail child like Hannah. And so each of these stories deals with a different, oftentimes moving, touching situation, and the writing is just excellent. The writing and the translation both are top-notch. And without it, honestly, you could read, if you don't play Lost Odyssey, you might want to check out some of the Thousand Years of Dream short stories just as standalone short stories, because they are quite excellent. And it's really nice that the Thousand Years of Dreams actually covers a lot of topics that games often don't. I already mentioned mortality. It covers religion, belief in something bigger than yourself. It covers jail. It covers politics. And all of them are always touched on with the perspective of someone who has lived forever. When political coups happen, it never matters who was actually uprising. It doesn't matter. They don't argue for who's right or wrong. They just kind of the short stories kind of examine the damage that's done in the folds. It looks at how culture changes over time, how cultures deal with grief. There's one particular short story that deals with Kaim losing one of his many families in a natural disaster, and then shows him returning to that town several times over the years and seeing how that community, that town, has adapted and changed over the years, and adapted the holiday or Memorial Day that was erected in memory of the day when his family died, the tragedy that crushed much of the town. And so, on top of just the writing being very good, it's a perspective that just doesn't happen in games a lot. And so I really think you should check it out. The Thousand Years of Dreams are excellent. Lost Odyssey, very solid JRPG. Not the gameplay and main story, not amazing, but the way a lot of the stories are told through the Thousand Years of Dreams, that gives it that little extra to where I can recommend it. So hope you check it out. If not, check out the Thousand Years of Dreams, and if you like it, let me know. Maybe I'll look at some of these short stories a little bit more in depth if anyone is interested. So till next time, peace.